I've got to confess to you, a couple of weeks ago, I had my world shaken up. Why? Because I sat down with someone that was the CEO of a company that was in the Fortune 50. They were a huge company, big name. I won't say who it was, but I will say that having lunch with that person was something I had been looking forward to for months. That they really were taking some time out to invest in me, get to know me, and it was an exciting time. But here's what happened. I shared with this CEO about my research with fast growth companies. You know, all of the research I talk about all the time, if you're listening to these episodes and all the interviews I have with the founders and CEOs of fast growth companies, and you won't believe what happened next. Hi, my name is Gene Hammett. I am really honored to work with already successful leaders to help them create more success for themselves and their teams, more impact in the world, to become the leaders that they really know they can be. I speak on stages all around the world. I coach people individually, and I run some retreats for small groups of high growth leaders. Today, we're talking about me being told I was wrong. It never feels good to be told you're wrong. But in this case, I really respected this person, so I really listened in. I leaned in to try to understand, and I really questioned, was I wrong? So here's the context of the story. I'm sitting down to lunch with the CEO of a Fortune 50 company, really large company. Not going to say who it was again, but I was really honored to be there. And we had really good conversation about sort of how I got to be where I am today. And one of the things that the question came back is, what are you excited about? And I said, I'm really excited about the research I've been doing with leaders because I asked them this one question and it really has gotten to the heart of something that's really different. And I want to share it with you. And he said, sure. So I mentioned how I asked this one question. Maybe you've heard me say it before, maybe you haven't. But that one question is, as a leader, what's more important, your employees or your customers? Now I want to let you think about that question. What would you answer? Is it your employees or is it your customers? Now, if you haven't figured out what it is yet, pause right now, because I'm going to give you the answer in just a minute and what happened next. But think about what it is for you so that you can kind of play along with me in this conversation. So go ahead and pause and come back to this when you got the answer. If you already have the answer, let's go. When I asked that question, as a leader, what's more important, your employees or your customers? I shared my research pointed that 9 out of 10 fast growth leaders will say it's employees. His immediate response back to me was, you're wrong. They're wrong. And he gave me all of the reasons why that's not possible. And leaders are really supposed to put customer first. Now, I was leaning in. I was really trying to accept what this message was because I really respected everything about what they've done. But I started to think about this. Maybe he misunderstood me. So I tried to reframe this. And I tried to talk about how I really believe that the company must put the customer first, the customer value, the customer experience, and they must really create a great place for that customer to get value from the company. But the leader's job was to grow the people. And if you're there to grow the people, you must put the people first so that the people can put the company first. Well, again, I was wrong, as he told me. I was wrong for many other reasons. And I really walked away from that lunch going, am I wrong? And I share all this with you because it was very uncomfortable. I questioned myself for a little bit. I talked to my wife about it. I talked to some of my clients about it. And here's what I came to discover. That I wasn't wrong. That there is a new era of leadership that you must be aware of. There's a new era of putting employees first that people have not caught on to. And the reason I say that is because the next 10 or 11 conversations I had after that, for full 2 weeks, I mapped everyone and I asked everyone the same question. And I tried to ask it in the same way so that I didn't forecast what I wanted them to answer. And all of them ended up saying that it's employee first. Now, why do fast growth companies put employee first? Well, they have really understand the longevity that they have in customers. Maybe it's the tight labor market, but they really want their employees to feel taken care of. And they want their employees to take care of the customers. And now I've talked to the number one company in 2019, David Freestar. I've talked to many, many others since then. And every one of them came back, 100% came back and said, it's employee first. I know it's an unfair question, but I just wanted leaders to see where they were in this question. One of the big things that came out of this was a discussion about United Airlines. United Airlines a few years ago had a situation, maybe you remember that, where a gentleman was dragged off the plane. That is certainly not putting customer first. Well, the CEO actually did say that all the employees followed the regulations and they kind of supported the employees. And it really is an example of putting employee first. But the real thing behind that was one of the examples that this CEO gave me as why it's not possible, because it was very negative press. Now, I started thinking about that a few days later, and I was really working with my team and saying, what should have happened there? Now, I don't know what you think should have happened there as a leader, but I know from my perspective that there was probably multiple people. It wasn't just the gate agent that said, pull this guy off. It wasn't just probably their direct manager. There was probably quite a few discussions that happened in space of 5 or 10 or 15 minutes. And many people were involved. Now, I truly believe that they were afraid to make a big decision. Their culture had put it so that they need to follow the guidelines and that they couldn't make a decision. My hope is I would create a team, and you would create a team that would look at all of the details of this and say, you know what, I know what the guidelines say, but here's the decision we want to make. We want to not pull that person off the plane. We want to take the employee that needed that seat, because it wasn't another customer, it was actually another employee that needed the seat. And we want to take that customer and allow them to, get on another plane, maybe even charter a private jet. The $10,000 that it would have taken to get a private jet, if that's what it cost, maybe it was $20,000. It doesn't matter how much it was, because it would have been a lot cheaper to make the decision to put that employee on another plane than it would have been to drag that person off like they did, because the negative press behind that cost them millions. And they became the laughing stock of the airline industry and really all over the place. Now, the real thing that you can see behind here is if they had truly put employees first, they would have had enough empowerment inside the organization that it's okay to make decisions. It's okay to go, yeah, I know what it says in the rule book, but let's do this differently, because people have their cell phones. They're gonna record this. It's gonna be a nightmare for us. Let's stop this right now and let's go ahead and make a different decision, and then be okay if they're not gonna lose their job if they were wrong, but they would figure something out. I share all this with you because yes, it hurt to feel like I was wrong. But I come back to us with a little bit more clear mind after talking to so many people. And my research is not just, 10 people. I've talked to over 400 founders and CEOs about this exact idea of putting employee first. And I share this with you because I want you to think about it as a leader. Are you truly putting your employee first? Do you believe that? It's okay if you don't, but fast growth companies, 9 out of 10 times will say it's employee first. My name's Gene Hammett. I work with leaders that are already successful, that want to go beyond where they are today, to create a great culture, to create new growth, and to create new strategies that allow them to excel. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out to me, Gene@genehammett.com. And as always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.